Wow, what a way to finish. What a contribution from a keeper that the Celtic support have maybe not always loved. We certainly love him now. He came up from down south, his career in a tough place, a former England international. After all, a really good goalkeeper, an even better person. It's just hard not to love him. And the contribution from him yesterday, just immense. Jack Butland, thank you. Yes, everyone, it's Sunday and I'm doing a video. I didn't want you to have to wait until Monday to chat about what happened at Hampden Park yesterday. So yeah, we're doing a video on Sunday. I don't know if I'll maybe skip one of the ones during the week. We can worry about that later on in the week. For now, let's just talk about another glorious day to support Celtic. We've beaten Rangers again. We've won a trophy again. It's a double this season, and it's an incredibly memorable one given how this season has gone. We will chat about all of that. First of all, on the match itself yesterday, this probably won't come as a big surprise to you. I thought it was a poor final. I thought Celtic were poor. I think Rangers are poor. And I thought for large swathes of that second half, in fact, I was pretty convinced that Rangers were going to go on and win that game. I don't know if you agree. It just had that feel about it. I think as the game went on, we really tired. Something Greg Taylor alluded to after the game. He said, I think Celtic were on our feet, come the last 5-10 minutes of that game. And he even said, the thought of extra time was kind of scaring him a little bit. So yeah, you look around our team at the key players we were so excited to see yesterday, and not many of them actually played that well. We had Matt O'Reilly, who was quite quiet and seemed to be pretty knackered by the end. We had Rio Hatate, who I just thought was pretty poor and kind of lightweight. Kyogo was just completely nullified in that match. James Forrest wasn't doing as much as James Forrest has done in recent weeks, and even Dyson Maida probably wasn't having the exact effect that we would have wanted him to have on that match. And as I say, as the game went on, Rangers became more and more dominant. There was a phase, 75, 80 minutes, where it just felt as if it was attack after attack, and we couldn't keep the ball at all. Brendan Rodgers was so frustrated in the touchline. There was one moment the TV cameras picked him just turning round in disgust. I think it was after a poor Matt O'Reilly pass. A poor Matt O'Reilly pass. I mean, that's what was happening yesterday. Celtic, it was not a good Celtic performance. And yet, it was Callum McGregor lifting the trophy alongside Joe Hart. Yeah, it's funny that. I was actually quite happy with the way we started in the game. Alright, it probably wasn't at the level of the previous derby at Celtic Park or even the win at Rugby Park in terms of the way we were playing, but I felt like we were playing through the press quite easily, and the amount of space that Callum McGregor was getting. There was one moment when Liam Scales literally ran about 70 yards through the entire Rangers team. Well, I say that nobody really came to tackle. I think it was actually Dessers who ran with them the whole way. And that was kind of that was symptomatic, I thought, of the early stages of the game. When we moved the ball quickly, one-touch passing, they could not live with us at all. That's not to say that it was completely one-sided in the first half an hour or so. Rangers had a few attacks, one kind of Fabio Silva shot. We didn't actually create a great deal. But I just felt watching the game, I felt quite at ease. I felt like Celtic were pretty dominant. And I just felt like we would just be kind of taking our time, and then we would click into gear, and that one attack would come off and we'd take the lead, and then we'd just build from there. That's kind of how I saw the game going. I don't know quite at what point it changed, but certainly for the last 10-15 minutes of the first half, I just felt it was very stop-start. There was a lot of fouls being given, and I really felt we weren't able to get any tempo into the game, and it was just quite a frustrating watch. But okay, comes to half-time, and second half you're thinking, right, we'll step up a gear. I wasn't massively worried. Probably should have been, because the second half, I thought we were really poor. As I say, you know, the amount of times we just carelessly gave the ball away, and every time we gave the ball away, it just seemed to give Rangers more and more belief. They were pressing up higher. And listen, we've obviously won the cup, and don't worry, we're going to chat about all the joy it's brought. I do think there's still a question about this Celtic team when teams press us high and we're not having the best of games. Sometimes I kind of worry about, well, you know, what can we do about that? Second half at Ibrox a couple of months ago is a perfect example. Second half yesterday, and quite often in Europe. And I'd like to see us work out a way to kind of play through the press a bit better on occasions like that. It seems like sometimes we become flustered, and we're very easy just for teams to kind of pounce on us. And I thought that's what happened in the second half. And maybe someone like Idah makes a bit of a difference. He's more of a physical presence than Kyogo, and I thought he actually made a difference even prior to his goal. I thought he was holding the ball up a bit better and getting involved. But yeah, as I say, I was kind of watching that second half and fearing the worst a little bit. Those corners they were putting in and right on top of Joe Hart, you know, an obvious tactic from Tavernier on one side, I think it was Diamandi on the other. They were giving me the absolute fear. It's funny because you look back, we actually defended them pretty well. Idah had a number of headers away. Joe Hart punched a number of them away or over his crossbar. It was just that one where they scored and it's disallowed. And yeah, I think it probably was a foul from Raskin on Hart. You can see that he has two hands on his back. I don't think there was a great deal of force in the push, but it's probably enough to put Hart off. And, you know, it's an illegal play. You can't just put two hands in the back of someone and kind of push them, however light it may be. And by the way, just when I'm on the decision front, no doubt in my mind that this should have been a penalty. Now, the handball rule is very clear about players making their bodies unnaturally bigger, and that's clearly happened there with Ben Davies. And James Forrest is actually potentially getting onto the ball at the back post, so he stops it going into the danger area. It did take a deflection off Kyogo's back just before that, so maybe that saves him. But come on, the amount of penalties that have been given recently for lesser offences than that, I was very surprised that wasn't given, or at least it wasn't given a lengthy look at by VAR. So I think those were the two main contentious issues in the game. Maybe one went for us. I think you could say that. I actually think it was a foul from Raskin and Hart. But okay, just say one went for us. One certainly went against us. That should have been a penalty. So I think you'll get the usual kind of case being put forward by Rangers fans saying they were harshly treated, and that's the only reason they are unable to get results against us, is because they've been harshly treated in matches this season. Let them think that. The only reason they're not able to get results against us is because, well, not the only reason, there's a number of them. We have better players and we have winners. They don't. So as I say, you know, we were dead on our feet. I was kind of worried. You've always got hope that if it can go extra time, you can recharge. But certainly, I don't know if you agree, certainly at that stage, just before we got the winning goal, I was kind of thinking, right, just get through to extra time here, Celtic, and maybe we can calm ourselves down. Like the subs that came on, and obviously Idah and Bernardo were amazing for their contribution. But I just thought, like, Nicholas Kuhn just was a bit hopeless when he came on, and I was a bit worried, you know, like, is he going to be able to give us what we need going forward in extra time? I needn't have worried about extra time, because right at the start of stoppage time, I think maybe just before we have our major moment, Paulo Bernardo, Jack Butland, Adam Idah make it happen. Celtic's biggest goal since Tom Rogic at the same end in the same match, Scottish Cup final 2017. Racking my brains to try and think of a bigger goal we've scored since then. Maybe you can tell me. Certainly in terms of the drama of it all, that Idah goal was just brilliant. I mean, don't get me wrong, Butland has the biggest part in it. I think Bernardo does really well to break through midfield, and he's obviously got the fresher legs, and it's a great sub from Brendan Rodgers. And the shot's powerful. You know, I've seen people say, it's not a powerful shot. He gets his foot right through it, but it's right at Butland. I know it maybe bends slightly, but it is a complete gift for him to drop it at his feet. But Idah is so alert. You look at the two Rangers defenders, and they're just standing there. Idah just has that desire to get on the end of it, and he's kind of expecting Butland to make a meal of it, and he's on to it. And it's actually quite a good finish to squeeze it under the goalkeeper, who was up quite quickly. It was an amazing moment, and it really wasn't a pretty goal, but it's kind of not been a pretty season. All right, the last few months have been great, but it kind of was the perfect way to finish, because who cares if it wasn't a pretty goal? It's a historic goal. It's going to go down, regardless of whether Idah comes back to the club or not. He's going to go down as an incredible contributor for Celtic this season. Dare I say, arguably the biggest contributor in us getting a double. We do not win a trophy without Adam Idah, never mind both of them. Think of the goals he scored, the huge goals. Double at Fir Park away when the team are on their knees. Double in his debut, I think, at Easter Road, or certainly his first start. Again, terrible place at that stage. I know it was 2 penalties, but the composure he showed that night, the goal at Ibrox is a major goal in the season. We potentially lose that game at Ibrox if he doesn't score that. How would our season have gone then? And obviously yesterday, just such a big goal, the biggest he scored so far. I think 9 goals as well in half a season. He's not had a lot of game time. You think about this guy next season, if we do sign him, which by the way I think we will, he'll be getting more game time, especially in the first half of the season. Kyogo won't start every match. I think you're looking at a guy who could comfortably hit 20 goals next season if he's given the sufficient game time to do so. So I love Adam Idah. He's just made for Celtic. I know people look at, he was third choice at Norwich, and I was probably guilty of that when he signed as well, looking at that and going, that's not what we should want. And it was very easy to feel deflated at that stage because our transfer business had been so bad. And then you looked at the profile of Idah based on what he'd done previously in his career, and you thought, it's not really what we're after. I mean, we were all so wrong in that, because he's just, what he's done for Celtic, which is what actually matters. It doesn't matter what he's done at Norwich. What he's done at Celtic is what's important. And it's been an incredible contribution, the major moments he's given us. And yeah, he kind of played it down after the game. He was asked in a number of interviews whether he wants to come back to Celtic. He's a Norwich City player. You don't expect him to say, I'm leaving them and I'm going to join Celtic. No worries, mate. Like, you expect him to kind of keep that level of professionalism. I have no doubt he wants to return to Celtic. I have no doubt that Brendan Rodgers wants to sign him. I think we all love him as a support now. Of course we do. He can never do another big thing in a Celtic shirt, and he'll be remembered so fondly. So, yeah. Really like him, and I think we're going to sign him in the summer, and it's going to go down. The permanent signing is going to go down a hell of a lot better than the loan signing did. Joe Hart bowing out with a win was just fantastic. I actually found myself forgetting that it was Joe Hart's final game during the match. I guess you're just so focused on what was a pretty frenetic, ferocious match that you kind of forget that. But I remember just, I think he got the ball at some stage in the last 10 minutes, or maybe the camera went to him or something like that, and I was looking at it going, like, this could be it. This could be the last few minutes of Joe Hart's career. But there was just so much else going on that it almost was a bit of an afterthought during the game. Certainly after the match, I think he became the star of the show. The TV cameras went to him. He obviously got to kind of lift the trophy with Callum McGregor. I think virtually every player has, who's on Instagram has posted something about Joe Hart saying, congratulations on an amazing career. So the players absolutely love him. And I'm just so glad that he went out a winner as well. I think, if we had have lost, I don't think it would massively have have changed people's perceptions of what he's brought to Celtic, and certainly not changed people's perceptions of the kind of person that he is. But he'll always be able to say he won his final game with a last-minute winner, and for me, the biggest derby in world football. It's kind of a fitting way for Joe Hart's career to end, and he must absolutely love Celtic, and we love him as well. In slightly more jocular scenes, we had Alistair Johnson and Greg Taylor joking about eating a burger, and this was in reference to Todd Cantwell's shush burger patter last week. Yeah, we have a team of winners, they win. They've got a team of losers, they lose. It's kind of as simple as that for me. And yeah, after a season that at times was a real slog, some real tough moments earlier this calendar year, Celtic came big when it mattered. You look at our 12 matches since that defeat at Tynecastle. That was a really damaging defeat at the time. And I think had everyone kind of wondering, oh, maybe this just isn't our season, because Rangers had obviously lost to Motherwell the previous day, and we all felt, right, this is our time to, to take charge, and then we lost at Tynecastle, and everyone was going, oh, maybe it's just not going to happen this season. Since then, 12 games to finish the season. We won 11 of them and drew 1, and that draw was obviously at Ibrox, that for me, ironically, may have been the biggest result, even though it wasn't a win. I think drawing that day, not losing that day, was absolutely huge. But as I say, 12 games since then, won 11, drawn 1. It's been an incredible end to the season. And I'm guessing there'll be a bit of talk over the summer from our rivals, because that's when they like to do their talking over the summer. There'll be talk about them being pretty close to a treble. And I've already seen a thread on a popular Rangers forum talking about that, saying Celtic really aren't any good, and we were just a couple of wee things away from getting a treble, and with the right players we can do it next season. Well, let them think that. It's another year has passed by with Celtic winning more than Rangers, and people talk about them strengthening next season. Celtic are going to strengthen next season. Brendan Rodgers has managed to win a double this season with only really, in terms of new signings he made, only really Adam Idah and Paulo Bernardo to a lesser extent really standing up in the second half of the season. Now, imagine Brendan Rodgers is backed sufficiently and our recruitment is much better next season. It's going to be really exciting to see what he can do. And I know we're going to have to replace Joe Hart, and that's no small task. And potentially Matt O'Reilly as well, and that's going to be difficult, but it is doable. And with Brendan Rodgers, we have a manager who knows how to win, and I think that's going to be a huge part going forward as well. He said plenty after the game. Joe Hart said plenty. Callum McGregor, Adam Idah, they all spoke. I'm going to hold off, I think, those comments for tomorrow's video. We've got a long summer ahead of us, everyone, so we might as well try and keep some things for maybe a quieter day. I will go through them on tomorrow's video. And just for the record, we're going to keep the videos up throughout the summer. Maybe take a little break when I'm in Germany for the Euros for a couple of weeks and recharge. But other than that, we're going to be going throughout June and July. And yeah, it's probably going to be a long summer, but at least we know that we've ended it in the perfect way, and there's going to be transfer stuff to chat about as well. And a big thank you to you all for helping us get to 7,000 subscribers. It's a pretty remarkable achievement, I think, given that I only started the channel in February. So just thank you to everyone who's subscribed. If you've not managed to subscribe yet, well, we're trying to get to 8,000 now. And please let me know your thoughts on yesterday and the season as a whole by commenting below. If you feel like you want to send in a video of you giving your thoughts on the season, you may find that a little bit easier. You can do that too. You can send the videos to celticinthemorning@gmail.com. It should be there, down the bottom of the screen. And I'll go through them all later in the week. As I say, we've still got loads to chat about, and Stevie will join us as well at some stage. But yeah, it wasn't a great Celtic performance, but like, who cares? We found a way to win, and that just sums up this season. And enjoy your Sunday knowing that this Celtic team are winners. And if you're going to Celtic Park for the Legends game, really enjoy yourself too. I'm sure that will be a cracking day today, given how yesterday went. Chat tomorrow.